Never in my life, in a professional setting, have I seen people act such a fool when it came down to money, power, and attractiveness. Two of the most powerful forces in the world are beauty and greed. It is believed that if you have money, then you can obtain beauty, and if you have beauty, then you can obtain money. So these two work very well together. But when they have to compete against each other, then there's a problem. In today's video, I am going to discuss one of the worst places to have pretty privilege, the workplace. Let's get into it. Hi, my name is Tammy and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, one of the topics that I like to discuss is the social construct of beauty. So continuing on with the series, in today's video, I am going to discuss one of the worst places to have pretty privilege. Corporate America, the workplace. Outside of the workplace, there are actually two more places that I think are the worst to have pretty privilege. So this video will actually have 3 parts. But for now, let's talk about the first part, the workplace. Coming out of college, my main goals were to pursue my acting career and to find a nice job to make money. Now, mind you, in college, I studied film production, theater, and psychology. That was my background. Those are the things that I studied. But unfortunately, like a lot of people, after college, I did not get a job that I majored in. So I took a bunch of odd jobs until I finally got my first big job in corporate America. It was for a huge company with one of the biggest brands in the world. So I'm like, great, I get to pursue my dreams and make money while doing so. And mind you, I was very naive to the corporate environment. I had no idea what I was getting myself into. So in my mind, my perception was that I was going to be around these professional, really mature, astute type people. And I was, and I had this visual in my head of how it would look and how the people would act. It was my perception, but nothing could have prepared me for what I actually encountered. Never in my life, in a professional setting, have I seen people act such a fool when it came down to money, power, and attractiveness. And this is where I began to learn the correlation between money and beauty. So now let's get into the reasons why the workplace is one of the worst places to have pretty privilege. Number 1, you have to work harder to prove yourself. Now, of course, with pretty privilege, you may get a job offer based on how you look. You may get a bump in pay. You may even get a promotion based off if someone higher up thinks you're pretty. And we all know that people with pretty privilege are perceived differently than people that are not conventionally attractive. So you will get those advantages, but because of those advantages, sometimes people don't take you serious. Some people assume that you only got the job because you're pretty, and because of that, they won't think you're actually skilled at the job, and they won't necessarily come to you for problem solving. Some may even put you in an airhead category, because for a while, there was a stigma that if you were beautiful, that you could not be intelligent. The two could not coexist. Even though we know that's not true, due to how society has painted women at times, a lot of people were programmed to believe that that was true, due to what we saw in the media and on television, and due to some women getting jobs in a particular field but having no prior background or experience in that field. But they have a certain look about them, and some of these women know that, but they do not care, because they are just there for the money, which plays into the stereotype that smart women can't be beautiful. And some of these women that get positions based off their looks, they're good with it. And they do the bare minimum because they know they can. They know why they got hired and they are okay with it. But on the other hand, there are some women who get these jobs due to their looks, but they are actually skilled and capable and good at what they do. But still, they're just not taken as seriously. And sometimes these women don't even know that they got the job because of their looks. They're assuming they got the jobs because of their skills. And if you are one of those particular types of women, just imagine if you thought you got the job off your merit and then you find out that you actually got it off of your physical attractiveness. Imagine how that would make you feel, especially if you are extremely intelligent. So now they are in a position where they have to work harder to prove themselves and to show that they are not just a pretty face. And if you want to be taken serious and you want some respect put on your name, this is a problem for a lot of women. So just to give you a real life example, so like I told you, after college, I had worked some odd jobs just to make money, just trying to figure it all out. One of those odd jobs was for a huge furniture store. So they had a program where they were going to take like maybe 25 to 30 applicants. They were going to put you through a training course. I believe it was for about maybe 4 to 6 weeks. So in this training course, they would be training you for you to eventually get hired and go onto the floor. But the way this training course worked, although they had taken 25 to 30 applicants, they were only going to hire, I believe, 7 of those applicants. But the way it worked, for those 6 weeks that you were training, you would go there Monday through Fridays. So for half the day, you would be learning and training about the job. Then the other half of the day, you would be out there on the floor, and your job was to sell, to make sales, to sell furniture. And at the end of every week, if you did not produce or if you did not sell, then they would eliminate you week by week, one by one. Sometimes they would do it in 2s and 3s. However, you had to sell to maintain your position. And then towards the end of the 6 weeks, they would keep the top 7. They were watching you, they were evaluating you. The weird thing was, a lot of the top sellers were actually eliminated or sent home first. And it was weird because if they're selling, if they're producing, then why are they being eliminated? Some of these people were, I would say, not conventionally attractive. Some of these people were overweight. People start to notice the types of people that were dropping off and the types of people that were being kept. Now, mind you, like I said, you had to show that you could sell furniture. So at the end of that 6 weeks, I came in the 8th place. Mind you, I didn't sell not one single thing. I probably was the worst one there. However, I still got down to making it to the top 8, almost making it to where I almost got hired. So when they finally eliminated me, he said, "Hey, you're just not selling and we just have to let you go." I'm like, cool, that was what I was told from the beginning. But the question lingered in my head, why did they keep me for so long? And why did people that were doing way better than me eliminate it way before me? So a couple of weeks after the job, I ran into one of the managers there and I said, "Hey, just got a question. Why did y'all keep me as long as you did? I wasn't selling, I wasn't good at the job. Why did you keep me as long as you did?" He said, "Hey, I'm gonna tell you a little secret. They kept you because of how you looked. They thought you looked good and you made the store look good, and people coming into the store, they wanted them to see a pleasant and a pretty face that helped customers come into the store. But when it got down to it, you weren't selling, you weren't producing, we knew we had to let you go." So he was pretty much telling me that they didn't take me serious. I was just a pretty face and they used me for what they thought I was worth. Just a face to bring in the numbers, but not someone they actually wanted to invest in. Now, mind you, like I said, I wasn't trying to start a career in that particular industry. I was just doing it for the money. But it started to teach me how this pretty privilege thing works. Number 2, experiencing jealousy, bullying, and intimidation from other women. And this one is pretty bad because of how it makes you feel. When people feel that you are beautiful or more beautiful than them, they feel you take attention away from them and that you will get a leg up in the workplace, and people feel like that gives you an unfair advantage and that messes with their money. And that's when people start to lose it. So yes, the love of money is the root of all evil, and this is where you will see that quote come alive and rear its ugly head. When people feel intimidated by you, they want to intimidate you. even bully you, and this comes through in the form of microaggressions, which can lead to macroaggressions, which is real aggression. And I'm not talking about what I've read, I'm talking about what I have seen with my own two eyes at a prestigious company. So this can happen anywhere. So the microaggressions come from where that person's insecurities lie. For example, this person is having a body positivity issue. She may say something like, "How do you keep your small figure? Do you even eat?" If they think that you're becoming the boss's favorite, they may say something like, "I'm not the boss's bestie like you." And some of us actually have to work around here. It also comes in the form of if you are new and a colleague is training you, she may not fully train you or tell you everything that you need to know so that you can stumble and mess up and never become as knowledgeable as they are. It's all to trip you up. This is a very common one where people try their best not to enhance you in any kind of way. And the way you combat that is you train with several different people. Request to train with more than one person, because if they are not fully training you, you can then take a little bit from each person and put the pieces together yourself. Or train with someone that is leaving the company, because then they don't care how you fare when you're up against them. Some people will go as far as even trying to sabotage you behind the scenes. So say, for example, if a promotion is coming up, they will throw you under the bus or talk bad about you to others or even to the boss. Or if they know a new job is being posted, they would try their best not to talk about it in front of you because they don't want you to know anything about it, because they don't want you to get it. And if you are a contract worker, some colleagues will try to overwork you or have you do a lot of their work to prove yourself, when it's really because they are jealous of you. And these signs are just the beginning. For the person that is jealous of you, depending on what they have going on in their personal life, maybe they really need that promotion because they are going through a divorce, or they are trying to close on a house, or maybe they're taking care of several family members. Whatever the motivation is, they don't want you to get in the way of their money, especially due to your looks. And these antics can go from mild to serious and even to being confrontational, which can lead to a crab in a barrel syndrome. So this syndrome is a metaphor based on an observation of a fisherman catching crabs and putting them into a basket or a barrel. Basically, all the crabs are trying to escape the barrel, so they pull the next crab down to get to the top. Basically, if I can't have it, neither can you. Or you definitely won't get it before I do. Now, this is more cultural and more prevalent in the African American community, especially with women. A lot of times, especially in corporate America, there are not a lot of black people, and if there are black women in power, there's only one or two. And one of the problems with black women in corporate America in high positions is not supporting other women because they don't want you to get ahead of them, because if there can only be one, they want to be that one. Now, this is very sad, and of course this comes from the racism and the colorism that we have experienced in our culture, in which we have been trained to divide and go against one another versus working together. It is a mentality that has trickled down from generation to generation that needs to be stopped. Now, with this crab in a barrel mentality, I personally have been in meetings where I've seen a black woman in power speak badly about another black woman that was up for a position. Instead of uplifting her, I did see her pull her down instead. Not only did she speak negatively about this other woman, she also spoke untruthfully. And that's not right. I myself personally have been in a situation where someone did not want me to get a higher position. Now, mind you, this person was already in a very high level position, but when it came to me just getting a higher position for myself, they did not like that. And going into corporate America, it really shocked me because I thought that these people would be of a certain stature and people that I could learn from. Now, mind you, everyone in corporate America was not like this, but there were still some examples that portrayed this. These were people that I thought that I would be mentored by, and it was very disappointing to see them stoop to such low levels. And that's one way I learned that people will do just about anything for money when disparity and push comes to shove. Now, this particular example has so many more layers that we won't get to dive into in this video. I just wanted you to be aware of the subtle signs that can lead to bigger issues. Number 3, unwanted attention from men. Now, this is another serious one. Some men do not know how to act in the presence of a woman that they think is beautiful. This can lead to unwanted attention, unwanted crushes, and unfortunately, harassment, especially with higher ranked men or men in power. This happens a lot with interns, contract workers, and even if you're just new to the job. A lot of people spend most of their time at work as opposed to home. So you start developing relationships and friendships with your coworkers, and for some of the men, if they're at work all the time anyway, it's appeasing to them to be at work looking at a pretty face or a pretty body. It's enjoyable for them. A lot of these men will come sit at your desk and try to overly befriend you. Some of these men will subtly flirt to the point where every time you're around them, they're making comments about your appearance and saying little flirty things like, "Let me take you out," or "Do you have a boyfriend?" or over complimenting you, or "Let's go get lunch together." And that can sometimes turn into, "I want to get to know you on a deeper level. Let's meet up outside of work." To them, even sending you anonymous gifts at your desk. Now, let me say this. There is nothing wrong with finding your boyfriend or your future husband at work. Some couples actually do meet at work, and that's normal. It is normal for a person to show interest in you in a respectful way and for you to show interest back because you are interested and it just happens to be at your workplace. That is very normal at times. But it's when you're not interested lies the problem. It's when you have a boyfriend or you're married, or if they are married, lies the problem. It's when you have softly declined their offers and politely told them to stop saying things that make you uncomfortable. It's when you say, "Hey, I'm uncomfortable," and they still continue. And like I said, this can lead to even bigger problems like harassment and powerful men abusing their power. Sometimes when people think that you are beautiful, they feel entitled to you and sometimes can obsess over your beauty and want to be a part of your world. If you are the cute girl or the pretty girl at your company or on your team, some men will actually target you as the one that they can flirt with and believe that you like the compliments, regardless of how you feel. And this goes back to the women being jealous of you because they feel you're getting a lot of attention, even though it's unwanted attention. But because you are getting a lot of attention, this reinforces their insecurities and your pretty privilege. So this has a trickle-down effect. Another negative and dangerous side of this example, even though you don't want this attention and you have told these men that it makes you uncomfortable, people watching from afar don't know that. So when they watch you and see you from afar, all they see is a pretty woman getting all this attention from men. And this can sometimes form an unwarranted reputation of the office flirt, or that you're attention seeking, or even to the point where people start to speculate that you're having a relationship with one of your coworkers or an inappropriate relationship with a higher up, just based off perception and the way that you look, even though none of it could be true. Number 4, you have to dress down or alter your appearance. Now, this is not just for the women with pretty faces, but also for women with nice bodies, especially if you are curvy or voluptuous. Some people just can't handle it to the point where you won't be able to handle it. And I see a lot of this in the media with the newscasters or teachers that people complain about dressing too sexy or wearing too tight clothing. But it's not that they're wearing tight clothing, they're wearing form-fitting clothing, but their bodies just happen to fill it out and they just happen to have a more voluptuous and curvy body. So for an example, a pretty woman with a curvy body or a bigger bosom won't be able to sometimes wear V-neck blouses or form-fitting blouses because it may be distracting to some men for obvious reasons. Same with skirts or form-fitting pants or a nicely fit dress. As long as it is professional and fits the code for their job apparel, there is nothing wrong with a nicely figured woman wearing these types of clothes. The issue is when other people start to make an issue out of it and you see eyes wandering where they shouldn't be. Or you start to get inappropriate comments from not just men, but also from women. Or even subtle comments that make you feel uncomfortable as if you're doing something wrong. And like I said, this is not just coming from men, but it's also coming from women. Because the last thing a woman that deals with body positivity issues wants to see is a curvy or a slim physique walking around the office with nicely form-fitting dresses. This goes back to example number 2. It reiterates their insecurity. It makes them feel insecure around you. It makes them feel like you have a leg up or that you may get a promotion that they feel they deserve. So in return, it makes them treat you differently. It makes them want to sabotage you or gang up with other women and ban against you. Or even concoct a plan or scheme to make you look bad or to take you down. Because they feel like you've already been blessed with beauty and they will be damned if you mess with their money too. So sometimes in return, you start to feel weird about wearing certain clothes. It starts to mess with your head and you start altering your appearance and second guessing everything that you're wearing. And because you don't want the necessary drama, you start to conform to what everyone else wants versus what you want. Instead of being uniquely you, you alter who you are just to get along and go along. Now, there are some women who have pretty privilege and very curvaceous and nicely figured bodies that wear whatever they want to wear and they don't care what anyone has to say about it. They do not conform to what other people think and do what they want to do. But trust and believe there is going to be someone at that company that is going to make an issue out of it because it makes them uncomfortable. And it may come in the form of an updated dress code for the company. And number 5, your manager, supervisor, or superior may become jealous of you. Now, it's one thing for your peers or your coworkers to be jealous of your pretty privilege, but it's a whole different ball game when it's your actual supervisor or your manager. This can lead to job mistreatment, mismanagement, and even blackballing you from other opportunities. Superiors that behave in this way can be a little harsher or not as understanding with you because it comes down to their own insecurity and their money. They may think that you may move up faster in the company than they did, and it messes with their ego. Even if they are so many levels ahead of you, they may feel that you will catch up to them or have an easier route than them. They won't mentor you, and if they do, it's very limited. To spite you, they may push someone or be more celebratory over another employee that is less talented than you. All because they are holding a grudge against you and you're pretty privileged because of the way that you look. Now, I also see this happen a lot of times with older bosses who feel like they don't want the younger, prettier version of them to come in and take over. And of course, this has nothing to do with you. It only upsets them because this is something that they're dealing with inside of themselves. Now, I will say that this one has a drawback because although that manager may have power over that particular colleague, if that colleague is extremely intelligent and good at what she does, people are going to start questioning why that particular person hasn't moved up in the company yet, or why less talented people move up quicker. They're going to start to see a connection and a correlation of maybe something or someone is blocking or holding her back. And if this particular manager or boss is found out, this can be a huge HR problem, and this can embarrass her professionally and personally. Now, these are my 5 reasons why I feel that the workplace is one of the worst places to have pretty privilege. All of these examples are highly complicated and have many different layers. So what do you think about pretty privilege in the workplace, and have any of these examples happened to you? Please share your thoughts in the comment section. Do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in part 2.